Dave Katz.
I'm Mikey Dobbs.
And I'm Carmen Butler.
And this is
the ATL on Fire podcast show. All right, coming back at you live here, ATL on Fire on a Monday night, Dave. We're keeping to the schedule. Welcome to the show, everyone. It's another episode of ATL on Fire, the show where we talk all things Atlanta United Football Club. Carmen, Dave, how's everybody doing?
I'm still grooving to that intro.
Yeah,
it's pretty
good. It's a pretty sweet new intro. We're such dorks.
Oh,
awesome.
Nice. I like it.
Carmen, how's the knee doing? Surgery scheduled?
Ooh, surgery scheduled March 21st.
Oh,
yeah, I know. So that's all right. I love this game. Love-hate relationship.
I'd like
with
to
soccer.
say goodbye to Carmen's footy career.
Footy career.
It was fun while it lasted.
Can we have a Carmen footy funeral where we say all these great things about Carmen, the soccer player? Remember that time when?
Yeah, there's nothing much to remember.
Remember when the land shark got you? Ended your career? It's what happens. It's bound to happen to all of us.
It happened.
I'm next in line, I think.
I'm going to give a eulogy to Carmen, the footballer.
Well, we were able to podcast live last time at our sponsor, Wild Heaven Brewery. Let's give a quick shout out to them.
Delicious beer.
A wonderful afternoon out on the back patio. Actually ended up there yesterday afternoon on Sunday to enjoy a couple Belgian beers, Wild Heaven Invocation, one of my favorites. And then there's another one called Stained Glass that ended my day. Nick told me it was like a 7%, but it was more like 9.5.
You know what happened?
Came home and slept. That's what happened.
Well, it's interesting I didn't see there because I never left. I've been there since last month. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Oh man, the beer is great. And if you haven't checked it out already, you know, the podcast with Nick, the owner, was fantastic. I mean, you know,
it was definitely him interviewing us with some great questions. And
yeah, it's about time somebody interviewed the ATL on Fire podcast. I like it.
So now let's shift gears. We're going to talk about the home opener against the San Jose Earthquake, where I believe our prediction here at ATL on Fire was the game was going to be a draw.
Yep.
Which
I think I said 2-2 draw.
Yeah, it didn't feel right because we're at home. We're just so used to winning at home. But
to be honest with you, as the game wore on, I was 100% certain it was going to be a 1-1 draw. I felt like we had to be able to get back the goal, but
yeah, I was still highly optimistic it was going to be a draw. Even going into extra time, it felt like we were going to equalize. So I was like, oh, our prediction is going to be right, a draw at home. We did not obviously have the full starting squad with Etienne starting.
Giacomakis
up front.
Got it right, people.
Yeah, we did not have Sosa in front of our back line.
No.
Abram may or may not be our chosen starter, but outside of that, right, everyone else was available.
Yes. Unfortunately, they were all players who were on the team last year.
Yeah.
I mean, Etienne came in, you know, but the whole starting lineup was a team that was all available to us last year, obviously, with the exception, of course, that Robinson and Guzan, you know, were out.
Right. So our starting lineup out of the back was Guzan, Parata, and Miles in this as center backs. Gutman, Lennon, and then we had Ibarra, Josetu, Almada. Out on the left, we had Wiley. On the right, inverted Araujo, and up front, Jackson Conway.
Yeah, we pretty much got it right. We predicted. So
yeah, that's spot on. And what would you have changed as far as the starting lineup, Dave?
Well, as far as the starting lineup, I guess not that much. I mean, I probably would have found a way not to start Jackson Conway. I mean,
well,
you know,
Barry was available, right? They put him in later on in the game. Why not just give him the start?
But honestly, you know,
why keep giving Jackson Conway a reward?
If you're going to do that, though, if you're going to put a guy who hasn't really played with the team, why not start Etienne from the beginning at top and play Wiley as well? You know, get the talent on the field.
So who would be up front?
Etienne
Oh, Etienne as a striker.
as a striker, as a false
Interesting.
9,
Okay.
right? And then play Wiley out left like
Wouldn't you
did.
do Araujo as your false 9?
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, that's what I would do. And then maybe put Wiley inverted and or Etienne.
Yeah, but the bottom line being, why not play all 3 wingers, right?
Yeah.
And instead of playing a forward who really hasn't shown much. I mean, to me, Jackson Conway, you say, all right, well, he didn't, his hands were tied, but until that guy shows that he can score at the MLS level, I think he has to be no more than a 15, 20-minute player at the end of the game.
Right. So I was surprised he was rewarded a start out of the home opener. I mean, if you brought in this Barry guy though, is a recent signing, who at least before DC had some goals, but none at DC. Why not?
Yeah, he scored MLS goals
you
at
said,
least.
Yeah, but exactly like you said, you signed somebody, you were going to bring them in as the number 2, then play them as the number 2.
Right.
I think you said that on the last podcast about, a coach who's going to bring in a player like that. So why not just stick him in there?
Yeah. Actually, I think that him as a player actually goes against what I was talking about in signing. To me, you really almost only want to sign a player who either A, you have a spot for and you really expect to be a starter, or B, is a future talent.
Okay.
And he's kind of neither. Right. I mean, maybe you say he's got a future or whatever, and you say, all right, we got to have a backup or whatever, but you don't just sign a backup for a backup's sake. Like, if that's the case, then you would rather have, a backup be Machop Chol, who you're giving a chance finally to, or even Jackson Conway give a chance to. But I don't really like signing a guy from the outside who really doesn't have a role. I mean, it's a recipe for
Yeah. Okay. Now, what did you think of player ratings going around the horn? Anybody stand out that had a fantastic game other than obviously Thiago Almada,
Thiago Almada in the last 9 minutes was pretty good.
Pretty good.
Maybe the last 5 minutes, really.
What did you think of Guzan's performance?
No major problems there. He didn't spill anything. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, and I thought Miles Robinson was solid the whole game. I think it's the same as what I saw in the Chattanooga game. He didn't necessarily look to me the most explosive, but he doesn't look like he's far from being himself.
And so you would, I mean, perhaps maybe our 2 best performances from Almada and Guzan. Is that fair in your opinion, or would you put anybody else on the higher end of the spectrum in that game? You threw Miles in there as well. Gutman played pretty well.
I would say Almada.
Okay.
So, Micah Dubs, I brought this wine.
Oh yeah.
So this is a Willamette, which rhymes with damn it.
From Oregon.
Yeah, from Oregon, and it's a Pinot Noir, which they're famous for in the Willamette Valley. It's Lange, and I brought it because I don't think I've brought a Pinot Noir on the podcast before.
You have.
I have?
Yeah, a couple times. Yeah.
All right. Well, I thought at least
that's what happens when you drink a lot of red wine on the podcast.
It means that we've done enough episodes that I can't remember every single one.
It's like 68 or 69 on the podcast.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Tally.
But I brought it as a change.
Yeah,
because I think that to be honest, I mean, and I'll throw this maybe to Carmen too, but I did not see a lot to be optimistic about. I mean, we were pretty awful for the entire game.
It was a hard watch. I mean,
that's a good.
I unfortunately wasn't able to go to the game. Had an awesome day on Stone Mountain with some family.
Oh, cool.
And then we came back and unwound, and I turned on the whole Apple TV experience and checked it out. But yeah, the game had a lot to ask for.
We were not good.
No.
Go ahead.
As my son has pointed out in the chat, I actually fell asleep at the beginning of the second half. But I saw the goals.
Lulled to sleep by our dynamic play.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot to be excited about until the last 9 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tyson's commenting. We had a comment on the live stream. I love it.
But I will say, guys, I am going to be optimistic from here on out. I'm going to force myself. Even if we don't have a reason to be, I'm going to be
Why?
the optimistic one. Because
What gave you optimism?
Oh,
besides the part that you missed when you were asleep.
Yeah. No, it's more. There wasn't a lot to give optimism. I just feel like if I bring good thinking into the space, into the universe for Atlanta United,
I don't think it works that way.
Yeah,
we'll see. But also just to counter you guys, because I have a feeling y'all will not be optimistic.
What do you think, Mikey Dobbs?
I was very not optimistic, and sadly so, because again, as you and I were just watching a little bit of the clips from above, it looks like he's trying to make a few tweaks, but it's not enough, and it's just creating really the same issues that we had last year. And just by the eye test, right? A lot of people who I spoke to felt like, boy, this felt a lot like last year. The same team we're looking at, the same problems, the same feeling when you're watching the game. It was all there. We got bailed out by two amazing plays by two amazing shots by Thiago Almada.
Yep.
There was it was a nice layout.
Do you want to start there on the positive before?
Let's talk. Let's
positive.
Let's start with the positive.
I mean, good Lord, that's super positive.
So two things. Okay, let me just talk about the positive. Gutman worked really hard to get down the flank, earns a well-earned corner with a tired.
Carmen, you want to bring up those clips maybe on the Apple TV?
With a tired team, right?
They're all at the very end. I promise you. Go to the end. Go ahead, Mike.
Go to the end. So but Gutman goes down the flank and earns a corner kick, which I believe Brooks Lennon ended up taking. And we don't need to go to the review. I'll talk through it unless you're feeling confident.
I do want to say something about this first goal though. So, I think we should bring it up.
All right. What am I doing wrong here?
So if you hit the trash there, change the scene to the dynamic one. Yeah, that one.
All right.
Yeah.
No.
Now?
I think.
No,
Yeah.
Look at there.
It's got to be on the dynamic. That's because that's how we roll. We're dynamic.
It's not very intuitive, to be honest.
All right. So where am I?
Go to the end.
The end.
Go to
Very
the end.
end. Just keep going.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
keep
right about
going.
there.
Keep going.
It should be about it.
Let's see.
Oh, there's the banger.
Oh.
No, that's the
second
last.
goal.
That's the
Yeah,
second
go
one.
back a little bit.
Go
Let's
back
see.
probably a
Little
good bit.
A little bit further.
Oh, there's okay.
She's got the shirt off, so that's the second goal.
We're still at the banger.
Yeah, it's
That
gonna
was
be
too
it's
far.
gonna be further back. Anyway,
Keep going.
Lennon plays it to the top corner of the 18, and Almada looks like he's going to try to take it after his first touch, but takes another little shimmy to the right and bangs it and goes off the top post. And he pulls down his shirt to say Fuerte Apache, which evidently is a restaurant, I'm assuming, in his hometown in Argentina that feeds a lot of the homeless and hungry people in the area. So he was giving a shout out to the folks back home.
And we yellow carded him as MLS for that.
Yeah. I know, yeah. Right. Yeah. So that's a restaurant.
Feed the homeless.
Is
Get a booking.
Feeding the homeless.
All right. Now, Carmen, go back to that for a second because, I know you've been watching a lot of goalkeeping with your son. What is, and Mikey Dobbs, feel free to comment. What is the goalkeeper doing? Like somehow right before Almada shoots, he like sits down. I think I have a theory for it, but I want to hear your theory first.
I didn't notice.
He's like,
oh yeah.
And it goes right over his head. I mean, it really ends up, it's a rocket, but it's kind of down the middle.
So I think it's because of that little shimmy that Almada did that
Little fake.
it was a little, but it was just to create, right there. I think he thought he was going near post just because he got screened a little bit. And because of that delay, he thought he was going near post instead of far post. He goes down and then boom, it's too late up high off the top of the post.
I think so. I think he was leaning the wrong way.
Yeah.
Right. Which is amazing.
Yeah. Because he was a tall goalkeeper. Had he been set, he probably would have got a hand on that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if he had ever just stood up and didn't go anywhere, he could have just tipped it over easily. I mean, I'm not blaming him for that, I guess. But to me, I think a really excellent MLS goalkeeper has probably got to save that. But anyway, all credit to Almada.
So at that point, I'm upstairs saying, I told you so. Because everyone was
1-1
was there that didn't want to listen to me. I was like, I told you we were going to tie this game.
Yep.
And
now I want to say one more thing before you move. Maybe we're about to move to last goal.
Yeah.
You know who gets an assist on that play?
Brooks Lennon.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's one of the classic assists. Now, later in the season, I just wanted to make a note of that because later in this season, Pineda is going to talk about all of Brooks Lennon's amazing assists and how he's the most productive player ever. I mean, it counts as an assist, but he passed the short corner, Mikey Dobbs. That's not really, I mean, probably your daughters could have played that ball.
Yeah. It was not.
I mean, he did what he was supposed to do.
Did what he was supposed to do.
He did.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not criticizing. For those of you before you rail on us on Twitter, I'm not criticizing for it. I'm just saying later this season when he's got an assist total, that should be factored in.
Yeah. I mean, that was all Almada there. So then I forget who comes down in like the 99th minute or whatever the last dwindling 5 seconds of the game were.
Yeah.
Somebody earns a foul. Do you remember who that was who got?
I believe it's Araujo.
Araujo gets taken from behind, I think.
Yeah, for all his really struggle in this game, I think he earned that free kick.
And so that sets up a free kick about 25 yards out, something like that. Araujo and Almada are standing over the ball. And yeah, I was like, man, I really hope Almada takes this shot. I really do. That was going through my head as this transpired. And holy cow, Dave. I mean, that is stepping up and delivering when, everyone knows that's where you're going. And there's only one place you can put it within a square foot.
Yep.
And he does it with
you got to get
power.
It up and over the wall, but under the bar and still with enough power that the goalkeeper can't get over there. Yeah. And watch what happens, people.
It is a golazo.
Just let it play. They'll probably show it 16 times in the 98th minute.
Fuerte Apache, yeah.
And he gets booked for his.
Yeah.
Just let it play, Carmen. They'll just go back to it, I think, multiple times.
That goalkeeper's like, all I had to do is cover that corner. And look how it just dips there at the end. It really is a thing of beauty.
It was well hit.
Gorgeous.
It is worth watching 16 times.
Yeah.
Because that's not a short goalkeeper either.
For those of us who are, those of you criticizing us for being overly negative, we love that.
Yeah.
Do that.
Pineda loves it.
Oh, so that's the other thing that I noticed here. Like both goals, they zoomed in on Pineda, and you could tell from his body language that there was something there of relief. Because
of our performance.
Had neither one of those goals happened, it would have been a tough press conference for him.
Yep.
And it still should have been a tough press conference for him, but boy, he got bailed out by those two goals.
Yeah, nobody asked him a tough question, right? I listened to the presser, and nobody asked him like what happened the rest of the game, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the rest of the game, I guess.
But I will say the MLS commentators on Apple TV did basically agree with what we're saying. That
was Kevin Egan, right?
Yeah, Kevin Egan was said there wasn't much to be.
I was at the game, so I wasn't watching on TV, but yeah.
So there's that. Now, what do you want to go to? The goal that we gave up to begin the game. I don't know what minute that was in the game. It was something like 15 minutes into the game.
Yep. Here it is.
So this goal came out of the back left corner of San Jose's build up. A player picks it up and frankly just meanders up the field. First, we see Jackson Conway try to make a tackle that had no effort. Then we see Araujo make a lazy slide tackle.
10 seconds, Carmen.
Make a lazy slide tackle like he's a 15-year-old. And then we see, I don't know who's marking him up on the right side, Brooks Lennon or someone also
just play it from there.
Also not put any sort of real pressure or effort onto the ball. Really bad defending out of the midfield to begin with. And this guy just plays a long ball into the corner.
Oh, it's actually further back.
Yeah, way further back.
Yeah.
Oh man, that is just such a painful goal. So yeah, the ball gets played long. We have plenty of people back. Gutman gets a little unlucky with the cross going in between his legs. Parata not committing one way or the other. Lennon, had he just stayed away, probably Miles Robinson to mark the guy up on the inside. Instead, Lennon lets him get the inside edge on him, and there's a header that goes in.
Carmen, can you go back to the beginning of this clip for a second?
Ibarra also leaves his guy and confuses everyone. I mean, the whole thing was a hot mess, Dave.
Go back a little
way further. Yeah, okay. There we go.
And pause it.
All of that was terrible defense.
Okay.
All of that was such bad defense to that point. And yet, Dave, we're still okay, right? Like, there's people back, right?
Yeah. So as Mikey Dobbs points out, like we did a bit of Ole in the midfield, right? He's dribbling through the middle, and Araujo misses, and then Ibarra gets turned. But after all of that, we actually have four. All of our four are back. Okay, so you can't criticize the tactics, or can you? Because what I want you to say is, Carmen, can you please describe where Gutman is right now?
Very central and not near the dude with his arm up in the air.
The guy who's waving desperately for the ball.
And where is Gutman's back? It's facing that player that has his hand
the
up.
Guy with the
more importantly, so Gutman is ostensibly in the middle helping. Who is he helping on? Where is the closest San Jose player?
It's like pulled back.
It's Eboisi who's
like 15 yards
15
up front.
yards, and he's the guy who ends up on the back post and scores. But so first of all, right, as we talked about, right, so when you're defending, right, how can we possibly give up a guy that open, right? So what should be right now, okay, is there are four things that should be different on this play, right? So first of all, one of our center backs should be very close to Eboisi, right? Because there is no way they should be able to play that easily. Right now, they can play him, and he could turn, and he could run at our center backs, and that's just shambolic. We have four back, and they only have really two up front with a third joining.
He just dropped back into the soft space, and no one pushed up.
No one goes with him, right? So maybe you could say, all right, if he goes so far back, you can release him to Ibarra or Josetu, right? But, in this case, they're not marking him either. So he's wide open. They choose not to play him. So that's mistake number one. Mistake number two is that what should be happening is our right back should be marking their left forward, right? If you notice, Miles Robinson is standing right next to Brooks Lennon, right? Why is he standing there? We'll get to it in a minute on the tactical board, but because Brooks Lennon is always up the field, they have asked Miles Robinson, our center back, to mark their left forward, right? And so even though Lennon is back here, Miles Robinson is still feeling like he should mark that guy.
Programmed to go there.
Right.
Instead of maybe stepping up the guy that's drifting into the center there.
Yes. And then the third mistake is Gutman, who should be out close enough to address the guy who's waving frantically at the very bottom of the screen. Hey, I'm open. And when you play the clip, they're going to play a 40-yard ball over everybody's head, and Gutman can't even get close.
Oh, he brought that down easily.
Yep.
Jeez.
And unbelievable.
So there's the problem.
Set of events.
Okay. So I think we can show it one more time just before I go to it on the tactical board, because I'm going to tell you what happens. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, just the fact that everybody is facing the ball there too. When we had so many people back, nobody turned their hips. Again, it's just it's ridiculous defending. Just even from a fundamental standpoint, even the way people are positioned with so many people back, Dave, that is not good.
Okay, so go to 409. We're going to do this a little out of order. I'm sorry, Carmen, while you're talking about it. Because I show that and
boom.
Yeah, so I mean, again, and you don't you don't even have to play the clip, right? So if you look at Gutman here again on the, I just picked it out of the highlight package because it was happening all day, right? Gutman is again leaving that guy way wide on the outside, right? And he's super tucked in, and it's the exact same thing, right? So Gutman is marking nobody, right? He's not close enough to address the guy out wide. He's not central to help out on anybody, right?
Yeah.
We already have, I mean, you can't really see it on this clip, but so who's the guy in the center in this clip? That's Parata. Okay. Yeah. And where's Miles Robinson on this clip?
He's playing.
He's off the screen because he is responsible for marking their left forward.
That's not Miles in the top of the key.
Press play. No, it's not. Oh. There he is. See?
No, that was Miles.
Well, I guess in this case they had switched, right? So it was Miles up front and it was Ibarra taking Miles Robinson's place, but same difference, right? So there's a guy up front, up there, right? And playing in the right back. In that case, it's even worse because it's Ibarra marking for Lennon, right? So let's talk about it, right? Let's switch over to the tactical board, and I can tell you what's been happening the entire time. So I want to start by, again, giving Pineda some credit, maybe. So I think Pineda has realized that one of the problems we had is that our right and left back were so far up the pitch that so many times they got countered in behind us, right? So I'll show it in a minute.
Just making sure things move around.
Yeah, we're good.
Is it? No, it's not. We lost the connection. See, tactical board.
Tactical board. What happened?
I don't know.
Are you sure?
This podcast is too technical. Too tactical. Yeah.
It's the producer's fault.
No, it's there. It moved. The ball moved.
Did it?
Yes, it did.
Okay. If it's moving,
I'm about to say, I haven't seen a move yet.
Yeah. No, it's not actually. Try bringing it up again because I feel like we're connected here.
Yeah. Yeah. Hit refresh and see what happens.
Yeah.
Reload.
Why not?
Do it.
Do it.
Did so
Do
much
it.
work.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we're connected.
All right. But now I'm in a totally different. Oh. I'll reload mine too.
I see your mouse moving. That must be a good thing. Yeah, we're working.
No, but look, but look, it's totally different.
Does it have to come from here?
I can jump on there. Can you move the ball?
I don't even know how to move it. Yeah, I can.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do it.
You're gonna move spots.
Yeah, let's move
here
it.
we go. Let me just make sure. All right.
I still want to punch something right now. I really do.
You can stay there. I can reach this over here.
Aren't you? Oh.
You switch
Okay. Okay.
Musical chair.
Wait, which one's yours?
All right.
That's you? There you go.
All right.
All right.
To the tactical board.
To the tactical board we go.
Make sure everybody can see. You said tactical board. All right.
This is yours.
Oh, yeah.
If you leave it there, I'm going to drink it.
There we go.
All right. Okay, let me move it. Just give me a hot second to move it.
Conway. Wiley moving up the left side. Almada. Araujo. Brooks Lennon. All pressed up towards the top of the 18 on the offensive side. Robinson just behind midfield, marked up. Parata moving up on the ball. Gutman just behind half field.
Click that real quick. I just want to make sure everybody can see it.
Yeah.
Oh, we're
good.
All right. Now you can go back to
that. All right. So I fixed it now where I was before. Whew. There we go, people.
All
All right.
good.
So here's the thing, right? So what he's done is, for the most part, and we're gonna after this, we're gonna show a couple of exceptions where we were right, literally back to last year. I think I'm gonna give Pineda credit. So he realized that one of the things that we often had was the two outside backs were so far up that they would instantly, the moment the ball turned over, they would be ahead of both of our right and left backs, right? And it was just counterattack city, right? Which we talked about a lot on the podcast last year and even in the preview this year. So his solution is really that we're going to kind of play three in the back, and it's most often going to be Gutman, Parata, and Robinson, as I've shown here. And they're going to be sort of three across the middle. And what that means is that offensively, Lennon is a winger. And occasionally, when we're on defense, he gets back as a right back. But mostly, he's a winger, which is, to be honest, what he should be, because defensively he's not strong, right? But here's the problem. So first of all, when Lennon was up here, as he was almost the entire game, right, he is completely stifling Araujo, because all he's doing is bringing another defender over there. And Araujo, instead of having, so what should be happening is, if Lennon were anywhere back normally, now Araujo should have the whole right side to himself, and that's what you want, right? But he can't, because Lennon is up there all the time. So Araujo is trying to make this run in the middle, right? And Araujo had another absolute frustrating nightmare. So I think, to me, this is really hampering Araujo. And again, the other team, how to beat Atlanta United, you just allow Brooks Lennon to be out there. He was out there open all day, and it didn't do any good. He made one real offensive contribution late in the game where he showed up in the 6-yard box, but he wasn't even out wide. He just showed up as an extra striker, which, okay, but I would like to have him show up as that extra striker a lot without being out wide there all the time, right? There's no problem with him doing that.
Yeah, by Lennon being out there, you saw over and over again Araujo feeling the pressure and making bad mistakes of trying hero shots from way outside the 18,
right,
and hitting it into the stands.
Because there's nowhere for him to run by people. He doesn't have that freedom of motion because Lennon's out there crowding his space. Okay, but here's the other problem, and I'll put the ball, where it's just turned over or something, right? So we turned it over somewhere in here, and they win it, right? Here's the other thing, right? So because Lennon is up the field all the time, he has made Robinson responsible for in behind there. Now, that's an improvement in some respects. At least it's not Ibarra, although you saw it on this last clip that we played. It was Ibarra. But anyway, mostly it's not Ibarra. Mostly it's Robinson playing that role, right? So now Parata is matched up 1v1 with their striker. But because of that, he has Gutman here. We've shown it now twice, right? Gutman is right in the center of the pitch. And what that does, as you saw on this goal, right, is it leaves all day out here, right? This ball here, right? They had open all day long, right? And on top of that, now Robinson, who's our best defender, is out wide where he can't stop something going right up the middle. So multiple times in this game, they just played right out to the open number 11 in this case, right? And then it's scramble city, right? Gutman has to kind of try to come over here. And then, he's late, and you saw him get all the way to the end line, right? And after that, in the end of the day, Lennon is sprinting back, right? He's coming back in here, but Robinson doesn't want to leave this guy yet. So at the last minute, Parada will leave his guy to help over here. Robinson's trying to switch here, and Lennon's trying to get back in here. And it's like a last second 3-player shift, right? It's never going to work. Never. Right? And all of this, the only reason to do any of this, Mikey Dobbs, is if Brooks Lennon you consider to be your most dangerous player.
Yep.
Right? Because this system, it's like the entire system has been devoted to getting Brooks Lennon open on the right.
Which absolutely crushes Araujo's freedom and what his
Yes.
strengths are.
And honestly, who would you rather have open on the right, Lennon or Araujo?
That's amazing, man.
Why? Why? Okay, so
And is this also, in your opinion, a detriment to Conway too, who was invisible, right? Because in this scene, right, it pinches Araujo into Conway's space, and it's like a little bit of a cascading.
Araujo goes into Conway space, Conway goes into Almada space, and it's all cascading. I agree with you completely, because Lennon is there. And again, it's one thing if Lennon occasionally makes a run forward in a dynamic fashion. If Araujo runs out of space and he's drawn a lot of people and now he overlaps into a dynamic, that's great. But that's when he needs it. The most of the time, if I were playing behind Araujo, I wouldn't go anywhere close to him.
Right.
If he gets in a one-on-one on the outside, as we're going to see in a minute when we show the clip, right? I mean, forget it. There is nobody in space who can handle him.
Yep.
Right. But he didn't have any space because Lennon was in the space.
Oy vey.
So his solution over this, he watched the clips over the season and over the off season, right, Pineda? And his solution was, look, we don't want to be caught as many times with only two in the back. And so we're going to play unbalanced with Lennon forward all the time and Gutman back most of the time. That'll allow us to play a standard 3. Yep. But when you play a standard 3, now Miles Robinson is over as right back, Gutman is the center back, Parada is the center back, and Gutman is the left back. Yep. And because it's an unbalanced version of that, it's not even a straight version of that. He has Gutman coming in so far to make sure that nobody runs through the middle, that we're giving out that weak side wide open. And they used it, and a terrible team used it, right? But that's how he gave up the goal.
100%.
Yeah.
So there's that. All right, get back here, Dave.
Cat speaks the truth.
That right there is the truth. I mean, that was the replay over and over again. Now, I was a little concerned though about the effort in the midfield too. So I agree. Our midfield right now, with Ibarra and Josetu, is a bit concerning. What do you see from them in terms of issues, and or how does this whole cascading effect impact them? If things are designed around Lennon,
what I saw in the middle is a lack of Sosa. That's all I saw. Because those guys can't get, don't do really well in the tackle because, and in fairness, at least to be honest, right? One thing that could be better in this system is we have 3 guys back more often, which means we're a little more marked up. And if we get Sosa in there instead of Josetu, you have Sosa now really, guarding our back 4, Ibarra helping him out. It's a much better defensive midfield, and we might turn the ball over.
Yeah.
That's got to be what you're hoping for. But it doesn't have to be that way. It's not necessary. And Araujo is going to be super frustrated the whole season this way because Brooks Lennon is taking his space the whole time, right? I mean, it's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and everyone's going to be like, Araujo sucks. Why did we pay that much for him?
Well, Araujo, and maybe this is a great time to go to the clip, Carmen, because if you watch 434.
Gotta switch over to that one. 434.
Oops. Oh, wait a second.
You got to go to the top right tab and then switch to it, and then we should be cooking.
All righty.
I feel for you. I try to figure this stuff out beforehand.
All right, let's see. So let's do it this way. We're going to do it that way.
There we go.
That works.
All right. You said 434?
Mm-hmm.
All right. We're going to start from here. Is that all right?
I think it is. See if we play it. I feel like we've been a little bit ahead on all these clips. No, there it is. Araujo running in space.
Unstoppable.
Right? I mean, there is nobody who can handle that. Right?
Oh,
and that was a nice
right,
shot
and
too.
it was his right foot too. So
Yeah.
stop it now for a second. The difference on this play, Carmen.
Where is Brooks Lennon?
Brooks Lennon is back defending, and so
Yeah.
finally, Araujo has the entire right side to himself, and he's just going to take on the whole San Jose team, right? So anybody who tells me that Araujo is no good, look at that.
He's like, this is my chance.
Yes. Like, give him the field. So if this is what we've been saying, the fullbacks just stay back, and this team will crush it.
Yeah, if you could do this.
I mean, it doesn't mean that Wiley can't bomb up or Lennon can't every once in a while. But
I have to say, when Lennon is back, believe it or not, God bless, he has got Lennon pinched in too, and he wants Wiley and Araujo to mark in behind them because he's so concerned about giving goals. And if you would just leave Araujo there all the time, be like, dude, don't defend. I mean, maybe a little bit in the midfield, fine or whatever. But when we're defending in our own penalty area, I want you hanging out right there. We're going to give you the ball, and you're a one-man counterattack. Watch this. Play it. See ya. And see ya. Like,
yeah, and a beautiful pass to Almada. And then
he gets it back right-footed.
Actually, a really nice effort.
Yeah.
Really nice effort.
It really was.
All right. So there's something good.
Yeah.
There's something good.
Funny because everybody's knocking Araujo this whole game. They said he had a horrible game. And he did. He was completely ineffectual because Lennon is in his freaking space. Get out of his space.
Oh, I think we need our own takes. What are we going to call our fire takes? Like, we need a couple, right? Lennon, get out of Araujo's space.
Yeah, we could do like one of those videos, like when they say, give peace a chance. Get out of his space.
I can do the rap
Get out of his space.
Move, Lennon.
Move,
Get
Lennon.
out the way. Get out the way.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah, because again, the other thing about you see on all these clips, Wiley is marking in behind Gutman. And so that way, when Gutman wins the ball, right? Or when Wiley wins the ball, let's just make it a theme of this year's podcast. When Wiley wins the ball, who's Wiley supposed to be playing to? Wiley. That's impossible. You cannot, as a left forward, be behind our left back and then suddenly be they're available for the outlet. Is that possible, Mikey Dobbs?
Nope. But you don't need Araujo to have an outlet to Araujo. He can just dribble through that space where Araujo typically would be.
Yes.
He just needs to have the space to get to Araujo's.
And you know who else can do what Araujo just did?
Wiley.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
or Etienne. Presumably, we haven't seen enough of him, but we've got dynamic players.
Yeah.
And they can run. Just get out of their space.
So I have a question. Do you think Ten Hag would do a better job of coaching the team?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes, and yes. Because actually, I have said it over and over. I mean, actually, Atlanta United's problems remind me a lot of what Manchester United's problems were. Right. So there was a couple of things. So they had their backs pinched in under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And the moment that Ten Hag came there, he stopped that. They don't have him pinched in so far anymore. He's like, you have to be close. You can come in, like you don't have to be standing next to him, right? Be idiot, but you have to be close enough where you can get out there. Yeah. So that's step one. Step two is to have a center back who actually is up and challenging for the ball. We have one of those too. His name is Miles Robinson, right? He is fantastic one-on-one. Yep. And if we would just let him go get on the forward, he'll win the ball.
So do you think on that goal we got scored on, had Miles stepped up on that guy, we would have been better off? And even if he passes it to that short pass, which he didn't do, he played it long. Right. But let's say he did, and Miles gets beat. Miles will do Miles. He'll get back.
He'll chase him down. Doesn't matter.
Take the ball from him, do a spin move, do 3 spin moves, and then pass it forward.
So Manchester United has a one-man guy who wins the ball at midfield. His name is Lisandro Martinez. Right. And that has changed everything. We used to have Maguire, and even when Maguire would win the ball, it would be retreating and whatever. He's on the front foot all the time. He's aggressive. He's attacking. right? And I think they had a nickname him when he was at Ajax. They called him the Amsterdam Killer, which is pretty good because he used to go and he's like, my job is to go up there and win the ball. And you saw it on that play. No one was even trying to win the ball. We had guys back. They're gonna go back and go all the way to our own 6-yard box. Like, first of all, go up and get the ball, because as soon as you do that, then the last step that you need, the other thing that Ten Hag voted, he finally got them a defensive midfield, Casemiro. We also have a great defensive midfielder. His name is Sosa.
Yeah.
Right. So the moment they would do that, then all of a sudden Sosa would be hunting. We'd win the ball up top. If you can get the ball off a turnover to Wiley, Araujo, Almada one-on-one, they will win those battles and we will score.
All right. Are we getting the Greek?
One more clip, 512, because I just want to show you that even though mostly he seems to have resolved the problem, not always. Because Lennon is playing like a robot or maybe a chicken with a head cut off. There's no thought to his game at all. He just goes right up to field and he stands there all the time, like automatically. It doesn't matter. Gutman is actually making some reads, and Gutman occasionally is getting forward when it's warranted, but mostly he's back.
Yeah.
He's actually making decisions. Lennon is not making decisions at all. And if you're going to do that, right? Okay, maybe you think that Lennon is the answer at right midfield as a winger. Why would you ever ask him to come back? He can't defend. You saw it on the goal. He doesn't get in front of a guy, right? Yeah. So just leave him there. Yeah. Just play 3 in the back.
So now you're suggesting 3 in the back?
Why not? If you're I don't think we should do that. I would actually like to play with a 4 in the back. Yeah. I'd play Hernandez behind. To me, I would never play Lennon at right back. I would only play him.
He's not a right back.
He's not a right back.
He's not a right back. He's a winger in a 3-back system.
Right. So go to 512, because this is the classic thing that we've seen over and over and over, right? So we're going to turn the ball over, and I just want you to notice the position. Actually, Gutman's on the ball right now, right? But notice, just play the clip, and notice when they win the ball, San Jose, where is Gutman and Lennon?
Right there.
Oh, this is not the clip that we
were. Which one?
I think. Oh, you got to go.
We're not doing so well with our timing here, David. Don't you have the minutes down, dude? You're letting Carmen down here.
Oh yeah,
you're supposed to have the damn minutes marked, Dave.
It was right. Go back just a few seconds before that, because I just wanted to show you where it is. Just a couple seconds before. We were just a little bit late.
We've decided after tonight's podcast, Dave, you've lost your reign of disruption on this podcast. You're done. You're done.
We're working with the Apple Carmen, TV clips.
I'm going to rein this back in. I'm going to rein this back in.
Go to 510 instead of 512. Yeah, whatever. That's fine.
Is this it?
No, just play it, because you'll get to 510 in a second. And I'll tell you when to pause it. Just a second. Okay, so there's there. Go to the next clip. Now pause it.
Oh, boop, boop, boop.
Okay, so there it is. What I wanted to point out is that Gutman is all the way up left, right? And in this case, you notice that what we're going to happen is that Gutman and Lennon are going to combine, right? Gutman is actually going to play to Lennon in the 6-yard box, and he misses. It looked to me when we were live that it was kind of a sitter, but actually on this replay, it looks like the defender actually blocked the angle. But we don't need Gutman playing to Brooks Lennon. If Gutman is there, Brooks Lennon should be back.
Right.
And look where Lennon ends up. He'll pass the ball. Gutman plays to Lennon. Okay, so Lennon is right there again, and he comes right across. He's right at the penalty area. Yeah. Now stop it. Okay. If we lose the ball right now, who's back?
Not a lot. And who's pushing up on the far right here now?
Yeah, who is that?
Somebody has taken his space. I think that's the new kid.
That's Barry?
No. Yeah, it's Barry.
Why
86 minute?
Why wouldn't he be in the box?
I don't know.
That can't be Barry. No.
It's either that or it's Josetu.
Don't screw it up.
It's Josetu.
That's not Josetu. Josetu's 20.
It looks like a 20. It could be a 20. I love this. All our old eyes. We're
I can't see shit.
What does that say? Is there a way to zoom? I don't know.
It'd be Araujo.
That is not Araujo. He's 10, and that's not.
Yeah, I think that's 10. That's Araujo. That's 10.
He's too long.
Yeah, no, it's Araujo
His
because that makes sense.
His
'cause he's
shorts
out on
are
the
way
right.
too long. That's
No,
not Araujo.
That is Araujo. Look at it. It's 10. It's
All right.
Araujo. I promise you.
Maybe if we hit play, we're gonna figure this out. Yeah, you're right. Look at that.
You are right.
It's Araujo. Yeah. So Araujo is out there by himself finally because Lennon's gone inside of him, and that's okay.
Oh, that was not a sitter.
No, it wasn't.
I actually thought Lennon did pretty well on that.
Yeah,
one.
yeah. He did really well. I don't have a problem with that. But again,
but why is he there?
That's the question.
Why is he there when Gutman is crossing it? Right? Who's back, Mikey Dobbs?
I don't know what's going on.
Oh, the madness of it all.
So, Dave, let's just rein it in for a second.
Okay.
Where are we going with this podcast?
I don't know. Where are we going with the season?
I don't know. It's going to be. Well, first off, let's. Did you guys look at the Athletic editors and where they thought Atlanta United would stack up in the East?
We were ranked anywhere from second to I think 12th
or 13th. Yeah.
so nobody has any idea. And I think
but what was more telling was the majority actually was on the bottom half. Like the average, if you looked at the average was clearly like 7th or 8th in Eastern Conference, and that's just eyeballing it out of all the editors. Which is
when you have some people willing to put us second. And in fact, I think somebody picked us for the Supporter Shield even. But anyway, if you have people willing to pick you second, that means on paper you have talent.
Yeah.
Right. But the fact that there are other people picking us as 13th means they have no confidence in the coach's ability to take that talent.
So I found that to be a little bit of credibility to our point of view here that the editors from the Athletic had that same lens on it.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's going to be a long season. We knew it. I think Pineda is only going to be able to get bailed out so many times, though, by last minute wonders like that. And frankly, I think the frustration of the fans, if you see the quality of soccer not coming to fruition, and that's the more important thing. I don't think the 17s are going to care if it's an exciting brand of soccer, but I don't know. You were there. I was watching on Apple TV. It did not look like a fun game. Carmen was falling asleep.
The number of times out on the counter in the first half that San Jose so easily got a numbers advantage, 4v2, 3v2, 4v3, right? I mean, and they're just really bad. They couldn't take advantage of it. A couple of times they should have scored. I mean, they were sitters, right? I mean, a good team would have been gone and home 4-0. I mean, it would have been 4-0 in that first half. Right. And that to me is not, I mean, sometimes you get unlucky in a game, you play, well, defensively. Right. Sometimes you get a little lucky. All these things happen. Right. But you cannot give up such easy chances with people to run at you, especially against a team like that. That's terrible. I mean, and San Jose looked really bad to me. Yeah. I mean, they, hopefully they'll get better, I guess, for them. But
if we were to, I mean, I think this is my painful prediction, though, is that once we get Etienne starting, once Abram is starting, once Giacomakis is starting, that this team is going to be able to drag itself forward to 6th or 7th in the table, despite everything that you and I are just calling out. And does that afford the rope to continue to be allowed?
Yeah, I mean, like if we just sneak in the playoffs, is that good enough?
Yeah.
But yeah, 9 teams making the playoffs this year.
And also a very imbalanced season. Like, the fact that it's going to have like win, a loss, a draw, a loss, a win, a draw, a loss, and then a win. Like that's how I could see the season going, very much like we saw in stints last year.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's different kinds of 6th or 7th place performances, right? If you're looking like you're dominating games and not giving up silly chances, and it's pretty close, maybe. But, if there's sometimes when you play against a good team and suddenly you lose 4 or 5-0, that's not that's not good.
Yeah.
Right, because that means in those cases you literally have no chance. And then the other thing is you say, all right, that's the craziness of Pineda's tactics, that we give up stupid counterattack goals all the time. That's his MO. But if you can score goals, and
Did it look like we could score goals in that game?
no, but
No.
he would say, okay, he didn't have Yakomakis. I don't know how Yakomakis changes that, because it's not like we had any real.
It's not like Jackson
chances.
Conway got
No.
any like, as much as I want
He
to
didn't
give
really
that,
touch the ball.
didn't really touch the ball, but he also
No.
didn't have any service. There was, I don't know what was going on with why even have a striker there.
And do we have any sense what type of striker that Papa Giorgio it actually is? Like, is he like somebody who's coming in on crosses? Are we playing through balls? Is he checking? What
He
type
can
of
do a
striker
little
is
bit
he?
of it all, right?
Okay.
He's he can head a goal, he can get behind. He's not so fast that that's his lightning thing, but he's strong. He's got a little bit of it all. He's sort
Okay.
of like a much better version of Dom Dwyer kind of thing,
Okay. Okay. I'll take that.
Yeah, he seems to be able to have good timing of streaking into the box. More than anything, I think he's what I see from the limited highlights is he's got composure
Okay.
to just know how to slow things down
and attitude, I should point out.
and attitude, right? But so it's a little bit of the attitude, right? Like you have to believe you're going to score. That guy believes he can score. And so it's a little bit of that combined with some composure and the commitment to just find the back of the net. And
Okay.
so I think he will. I
So
think
can he make us good? Or are y'all saying no matter what he does, our coaching is going to tank us?
No, I mean, he can make
No.
us good, because in a game where you don't play well, right? If you have an Araujo takes on a guy, or an Amato or a Wiley takes on a guy, gets a decent opportunity, gets a service in, then he goes and scores it against the run and play, and you're still in the game. So that can happen. And I think that's what Mikey Dobbs is sort of getting at.
Yeah.
That is it just enough so that we occasionally do, just enough.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I believe in the talent of Yakimakis and some of these other folks. I think there was good player selection. I think that they're going to grind through a really long season to end up in a so-so position.
And I would say, as bad as I would obviously didn't like the tactics and the pinching in, and it cost us stupidly in this game, right? But I do like the fact that more times than last season we had at least 3 guys back. So I think Gutman and either Abram or Parata, along with Miles Robinson, when they're 3 in the back, not only can they sometimes take care of
Sort
it
it out. Yeah.
but it also means we do have a shot at maybe turning the ball over sometimes in the midfield. And, that only has to happen once in a while to get an extra goal. If we get an extra goal occasionally out of Yakomakis, we get an extra goal out of occasionally Sosa turns it over and gives us a good chance.
And the other question I have, Dave, so just being optimistic here, right? Let's say everybody stays healthy.
Yeah.
And we have Sosa back, right? It does seem like, yeah, Lennon is like a chicken with his head cut off with the right. He's just doing what is commanded of him to go up the right side. Outside of that, there's a lot of soccer IQ on the field, though, right? So can they sort it out themselves is what I'm getting at.
No, because when the coach is telling you those sort of tactics and you're starting there, it's impossible to sort out. I mean, you could see it, you cannot sort out on a counterattack like Parada and Robinson and whatever we're doing, right? You cannot sort that out on the fly. It's just too much, right? I just don't think that you can do that. Okay. I don't think that will work.
I'm trying to be optimistic here.
I like it though. I'm appreciating your optimism, Mikey Dobbs.
I'm still pretty pessimistic. I just feel like it's so killing us, because I also think that you pointed out in one of the previous previews that we did that if Araujo becomes grumpy because he's doing bar, the team's done.
Yeah.
Right. And if Brooks Lennon is running into his space all the time, Araujo's going to be grumpy.
He'll be grumpy by game 4.
Easy.
If this continues.
I mean,
even with ties and wins and him being in the position where he can't pick it up just at midfield and just attack people. Like, why can't we put him in that position?
I don't want to even say because it's terrible, and I would never, ever, ever, ever wish for anything like this. But there's occasional moments where a player gets an injury. If Lennon gets a knock, even for a game, and he puts in Hernandez, and it unleashes everything, then sometimes it can fix itself.
Yeah,
right. That's the answer. Is stop doing
so
that.
there's some people, and look, we haven't seen a ton of Hernandez. I've seen enough to feel like he's a better defender than Lennon.
Even if he's not, he'll stay back.
Yeah. Even if he's not, he'll stay back.
Even if honestly, if Lennon was staying back, it would be way better
Correct.
than what it is.
Right.
Exactly. It's a matter of just stay back.
Yeah. And the other thing that I wanted to point out when you were talking about vis-a-vis last season, the other thing that if there was one change, if you did all the things that we did tactically, Pineda still would have made the playoffs, in my opinion, last year if he had never played Rios Novo. He gave up so many goals in the middle of that year. So that's another plus. If you look,
that's true.
This team versus last team wins above replacement. Any goalkeeper on Rios Novo is, I mean, that's probably good for 3 wins.
Yeah.
Good point.
So if you take 3 wins from last year's team, I mean, maybe Carmen, you could look this up. I think we were a playoff team if we had 3 additional wins.
I know.
I think that's right. Yeah.
And again, we wouldn't have thought last year we would have made the top 3 or even 4, but to finish 10th, like that was our point when we were talking to Nick, and I had to clarify that over text with him in our interview. It's like, look, I don't think that Dave and I ever expected us to be an MLS Cup champion with all the injuries. Like that is enough of an injury bug. Like there's enough things that happened in the season. We're like, yeah, we probably weren't going to win the MLS Cup, but why shouldn't we been up there pushing for 4th in the table? I think that we should have been in that range, right? I think that's the takeaway.
Oh yeah. You
so
just
where
rolled it up? I think we would have been 5th, 49. If we go from 40 points to 49,
yeah,
would have been 5th. So
there we go.
To be honest with you, Rios Novo
and 5th would have it wouldn't have been great, but I would have been like, okay, I can.
And
I'll stop complaining.
I've said this a number of times. When I've been watching other teams, I'm like, all these other teams can't be doing this, but there are some other teams that are doing the same stupid tactics that we are and getting burned from it too, right? There's a lot of mediocrity in the MLS. So it's not that hard. If you do the same stupid stuff as most of the teams, we have a better team. Right. So, I mean, this is not what should happen, right? But not what we should hope for. But if you do the same, if you have equally mediocre coaching, then we should finish a little bit above, right?
Yeah.
Because I do think, again, the roster is excellent, right?
So I watched the game on Apple TV. I don't know if you guys had a chance to go back and watch any of the replay. We're using it right now on the podcast, obviously. But what if any opinions you have on the broadcast production from
one thing
MLS
that I
streaming?
thought, I was at the game, so I wasn't watching it live, but I wanted to actually look when I got home at some of the highlights. And maybe this is just because Apple TV is new and it was opening day for MLS, but there was a very, very long time for highlights to come out. And they weren't ever on you. I don't think they still are on YouTube. They're only on the MLS page and on Apple TV.
I was wondering about that, if they were going to share clips on Apple TV. Sorry, on YouTube.
I don't think so. Usually they post the highlights. In the past,
that's a mistake from Apple TV if they're going to glom onto the only play. That's also a mistake for MLS not allowing whatever.
Yeah, it might be a
whatever thing is in the contract for them not to allow the highlights to be on YouTube. That is a real mistake if that's the case. That's a letdown for a lot of viewership and exposure to MLS. That is silly. They need to change that or fix that if that's the case. You got to be able to watch the highlights on YouTube. Too big of a platform.
I agree. If we have to pay, you're already having people who can't access it. Can we at least get to YouTube?
At least be able to watch the highlights on YouTube.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, that's going to be something. I'm going to have some real strong opinions on that if that doesn't shift. Okay. Apple TV's pregame. I don't think you guys are able to watch it.
I saw you sent us a screenshot.
So I was kind of excited at first, and I see the potential for the pregame, the exposure to like, wow, you've got the table of all these MLS teams. You start thinking about it. They're talking just the same way the EPL is, like, English Premier League mornings. It's like you're talking about the league. It felt cool. I was like, this is pretty neat. I was pretty pumped up about it. I don't have too strong of opinion on the cast. Unfortunately, one of the women that was, I don't know who she was. Like, I think they went way over the top with her dress, uh, apparel. There's just
She's
no
wearing
need.
like 6-inch heels.
6-inch heels, a pink dress. I didn't know who she was. I don't know if she's a former player, what the situation, but somebody should have, even herself at her age, should have checked it and been like, look, give me some nice slacks. We don't need that. We don't need that.
Just say your smart things. Like,
and I don't even know that she was smart, but I'm just saying, at least start with a better,
might have been
better wardrobe, and not that Bradley Wright Phillips was looking too sharp either with his silly sneakers, but whatever.
But it goes back to what Kat said. I don't even know where we were when you said it. It was like, you dress so no one notices.
Exactly.
Right.
Just let the soccer and what you're saying speak for itself.
Right.
So
I was disappointed with the way that they kind of allow the whole thing to just come off a little cheesy. I don't know.
Yeah, it's opening day, so sometimes they figure it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Then did you watch any of the wrap-up shows?
No, I did not.
Okay. They were okay. They were not as engaging as like the whip around type of shows I was expecting. So I was a little disappointed with that in hindsight. The app itself, in terms of navigating around and finding clips, it's a little confusing. Like you said, you're trying to find highlights. You're trying to find.
Yeah.
It's
for a while on the Apple TV clip, they had the full game you could replay, I think, and they had the goals. They didn't even have the highlights on Apple TV for a long time.
Well, I'm still unsure whether I am able to go back and watch the full Atlanta United San Jose game. I was only able to tonight find the clips.
For a while, I thought the full game was there, and I was surprised. And then it may be gone. I don't know. Like, maybe they don't know whether they're posting the full game or not.
I don't know.
Maybe they have a little things to sort out.
Yeah, there's some things to sort out because, like, that's one of the nice things. Even on like ESPN Plus, you could go back and watch the full game, I think, later on, or on at least on YouTube TV, on network broadcastings, the DVR had the game. If it was on YouTube TV, I know I could absolutely go back and watch the full game all year if I wanted to go back to any of the games. I had it on my DVR. Yep. So that's really a knock on Apple TV if they don't have the full games to go back and watch.
There
can't be the case. They've got to have them, right?
But now, one thing I want to comment on.
Okay.
So I have no idea whether this is new to our new general manager, but it seems like there's more transparency. So leading into this game, the club posted all the injury status for all the players.
That's an MLS thing, though.
I don't know. We haven't done that before. We've been in MLS before.
It's because the MLS hired a new like data engineer and all this. Like, the problem, that's what I was saying, was excited about this a couple months ago, is they've hired, it sounds like it's like a database issue on the back end, right? So that the website can be updated. Somebody can do the data entry to be like, so it's all of that. They've actually finally hired some people at the MLS to input the data. This is my take on it.
All right.
So I don't think it's Atlanta United specific. I think Atlanta United had in the past maybe said,
but it was on our app.
No, but right. But our app is the MLS's app.
Okay. Didn't know that.
It's owned by the MLS.
Owns the whole.
They I mean,
they own the whole thing.
Well, technically,
it's all one franchise.
First and foremost, they own all like the databases that power like the player information. I'm sure that's all centralized. So I'm sure if Atlanta United was like, hey, here's our injury report, and it doesn't go into a database that informs all the MLS websites and apps, then it's FUBAR. No one can get it. Nobody can get the information. Go look that up, kids. FUBAR.
So the other thing that they posted for the very first time was the actual designation of our whole roster.
Yeah.
So there's no more guessing about who are the actual designated players, who has an
Oh.
international spot. So, who are designated players?
I would guess that it's Yakamakis,
Yakamakis.
Almada, and Araujo, no?
Yeah, although it's interesting, they have Almada listed as a young designated player.
Oh, that's
Is
right.
that a separate category?
It is, and I forget what that affords us. I
I
should
don't
know
know.
these things, but what do I know?
And then the international spots are Abram, Almada, Araujo, Yakomakis, Ronald Hernandez, Parata, and that's it.
Yeah. And you can increase your number of international slots by buying that
You can
with
buy them.
Tam
They
and
even
Gam
have
or
whether the people are
Yams.
there for Tam or Gam, and they have when the contract runs through.
Look at this. All this information
Yeah.
we're being
Oh
given.
my
I
goodness.
don't know if I can handle it all.
So do we have anybody who has contracts running out?
Oh, I don't know. We do? You're nodding your head. Let us have.
Which I was, my eyes were
Jesus.
about to explode out of my head. You know whose contract runs out at the end of this year?
Who?
Miles Robinson.
Yeah.
Don't we want to sign them to extension, even if you're going to get rid of him?
Yeah.
Like, shouldn't he be
Yeah.
signed now? Like, that suggests that if he gets through the end of the year, he's a free agent.
Yeah.
Like he does.
So is the
Oof.
reason we haven't signed him because of just monitoring the injury?
That's what
I
the only
don't
thing I
even
can
care. Like,
think
even when
of.
with the injury, you would re-sign him because there's value for
Yeah.
sure.
Yep. But what does he want?
I don't know. I don't know.
Like, yeah, you might want to resign him, but Miles's agent might be wanting right now before it's clear that he's going to play at the level he's playing. I know there's value, but what
Right.
does his agent really want? Because, I mean, this is a guy who's a rising star. It might just be a misalignment with what the MLS can afford. If he's asking for DP money, do you sign him as a DP? You re-sign him as a DP, Dave? That might be what they're asking for. This is a guy that might be a future U.S. men's national
I
team
would say
starting center
yes.
back.
I would say yes. If you have a chance to lock him in forever.
Okay, so how are you going to do that if you just needed a striker with
Well, Amada's
Yakamakis?
not going to be around
Okay,
beyond this year. I
so
mean,
maybe
no
that
way. There's
maybe
no way we keep.
so maybe
going.
that's their plan. Maybe they go
Mhm.
summertime, right? They sell Almada, bring him back on loan to finish out the season, sign Miles Robinson into the third DP contract.
Could
Maybe they're thinking that way.
Could
Huh?
be.
Huh?
All right. There's another player whose contract ends in 2023.
Who is it?
Josetu. I don't think anybody's going to cry over that.
No.
Yeah, you're all right.
There is. God bless. There's a contract.
I want to like who's that too.
There's a player that you'll never even consider, like who you wouldn't even. I mean, you won't even remember his name, and who's on contract through 2025.
Through 2025?
Yeah.
No way. Hold on. I'm going to think through this for a second. He's through
I
2025.
don't really know who's on the team.
I'm going to guess Wolf.
No, I mean Tyler Wolf does have a contract through 2025, but
Okay.
he's on the team.
Yeah. I don't know.
Can you even give us a hint? Like,
I mean,
is there no hint to
Barco's
even go
runs
this-
out here at the end of this year, so I don't know who.
Oh, I forgot
Yeah.
about
Or
him.
maybe
I
they-
heard they were made.
Yeah,
according to this,
they cut ties with that somehow.
that they cut ties with that. Although this
Yeah.
still lists him as on loan through 2023, but I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah, they figured out a way to. Yeah, I don't know.
I agree.
I read something about that, but brain's not
You want
working.
to know who it is?
Yeah, tell me.
Let us know.
Eric Lopez.
No way.
Who
On
that?
contract through 2020.
Who is that? I don't even know who that
Eric
is.
Lopez.
Uh-huh. If people complain about what the people we offer it to, and for the first time, as far as I know, maybe other people have access to it, we have transparency, and I'm like, ooh, that was a bad contract.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not even with the team,
I don't even know who that is. Honestly, I don't know who that
but
is.
he's actually technically, according to this, not on loan either.
So is he playing anywhere? What's he
I
doing?
guess technically he's
Who is this
eligible to play
person?
for the twos.
Okay.
Yeah,
But he's not even
I
playing
don't
for the twos.
I don't know. Is he playing for the Twos?
What's his name?
Eric
Eric
Lopez.
Lopez, yeah.
Is he an American soccer player?
He's an
No, he's South
American.
American.
Okay, that's not him. Never mind.
That's not him. That's a different Eric Lopez.
I guess Atlanta United.
Yeah, there he is. Paraguayan.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I have never seen this. This guy could come up, hit me in my face, and I would not know
He
who
played
is.
a few
Yeah,
times.
he played for.
Remember, they signed him, but there was a problem with his contract, so they had to play with the Twos for a while. People kept saying, "Oh, just wait till he gets there," and then he got there, and
he plays as a forward. Can't he play for us?
He's not that good, though.
I guess not.
Is he better than Jackson Conway though?
I mean,
I don't know.
I don't think he could be
not.
worse.
I mean, Jackson Conway at least scores for the Twos a lot.
So wait, what's this? Argentine Primera Division? Did he play?
He's supposed to be a good young player that we signed as like this, potential guy, but he's gone nowhere.
Oh, okay.
Anybody else, Dave?
Those were the ones that really stood
Yeah.
out to me.
Okay.
Technically, Parata is still only on loan through 2023. We'd have to re-sign him, but that makes sense to me because I don't, if Abram just steals his spot and makes it his own, then you don't want to re-sign him. So I think that's okay.
So, Dave, we're playing Toronto this weekend, March 4th at 7:30 p.m. at home again. What is your prediction?
I had, if I think maybe we want to talk about, we didn't really talk about in the preseason. I think we missed a little bit talking about the whole league. Who do we like? Who do we don't like? Who do we think is going to finish where? I bring this up because to me, Toronto is absolutely reloaded. And they finished horribly. They were below us. I think they were in 14th or 15th. But I had them finishing second.
Yeah,
Okay, bold.
Now, being fair, they lost their opening
I was
game,
about to say.
but they had a player red carded, I believe. Maybe you can look that up. I think there was a player red carded.
So I saw the same thing from the Athletic. I was kind of shocked. I was like, oh, I thought next weekend's game would be kind of another San Jose type of competition. But yeah, everything that the Athletic on that conference was, I think they had them at first. Like it was like they were definitely up there in the top two in terms of who they were thinking were going to win that side of the conference.
Was there a red card in this game? Scroll down. You would say it up top there.
That's right. Maybe not. But there was a final. DC United scored 90 plus 8.
I don't know.
Go to the timeline. Maybe.
I think I don't know. Who do you think's going to win the Supporter Shield, Dave? As you go.
So one of the things I'll say is that the East is way better than the West. The West looks really weak to me. That being said, I still think that LAFC is the class of the whole league, even with losing Gareth Bale.
What does the Union have to do to bring it across the line this year?
But I was going to say, I mean, the Union looks like the most solid pick for they've had great season after great season. They keep doing well. But to me, I worry the Union is now in the CONCACAF Champions League and they're trying to fight, of course, for the Leagues Cup and all this stuff. And I feel like they might get a little distracted. I think they're still probably going to win the East, but maybe not the Supporters Shield.
Oh, that's one thing I wanted to say. The Leagues Cup.
Yeah.
Apple TV's platform has me pretty excited for that.
Yeah.
I can picture just like zoning in to some games on that and just
it's gonna be awesome.
Binging a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna binge a little bit.
I think I might watch the whole dang thing.
Greg Garza, whatever, called a money grab. I'm in. I want to watch it.
Give me the money.
I already paid the money.
Right?
I'm gonna watch.
Right?
So yeah.
May as well.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, no, I think that's going to be exciting. So if you maybe, Carmen, you'll call up the table again. So in the East, who do we like? Cincinnati, to me, Noonan looks like a terrific coach. They have really built that roster. They look for real. I think they could contend for the East title.
Yep.
Toronto in the East for sure. Philadelphia, those look like the class of the East, but the East looks solid top to bottom. I think Orlando, I hate to say it, those people
about
think
Nashville?
of those as our
Nashville.
I think Nashville's certainly going to make the playoffs. I feel like they haven't really necessarily reloaded like you might have thought.
Cincinnati.
I think Columbus is going to have a big improvement. I really like their coach, the guy who came from Montreal.
You don't think Cincinnati's going to make a push?
No, I did. That's what I said.
Okay,
I said Cincinnati. To me, I would have said, Philadelphia, Cincinnati are the class of the whole East.
Carmen, I think you got to push the power button in on that computer. Look at that. Boom.
That's why I get paid the big bucks.
I think New York City FC is due to a real setback. They lost the coach. They lost all the talent. Everybody gone from that. Sean Johnson's gone from that. I just see them plummeting. Red Bull, middle of the pack. Miami, what do you think of Miami?
I think that we're going to be crying in a little bit.
Yeah, you think Miami's going to finish above us?
I do.
No.
I do.
No.
Toronto is absolutely loaded. They got 2 Italian players. I mean, the guy Insigne for Toronto. I mean, as far as I know, he might still be captaining the Italian national team. I mean, he is a legit player. And he's not that old. He's like 30.
Yeah.
For MLS,
that's young, yeah.
And then the other guy they got with him, and I cannot.
That Messi guy is like 35, I think. So
if you call up the Toronto roster, the other guy who's also Italian, like Federico Bernardeschi, right? Those 2 guys could really play. I mean, really, really play. They got an extra midfielder. They got Sean Johnson in goal. I mean, they reloaded all over the field. And they still have Bradley as the coach, who, Bradley has his moments and not moments, but he's proven that he can do well.
Is Michael Bradley still playing for them?
I think he's still on that roster.
I think he is. Yeah, I think
he's there to,
yeah,
for veteran presence.
Yeah. He'll be out there starting, I bet.
Probably. Did he start the first game?
There he is, Michael Bradley.
But that side, if you look up and down, it is loaded. Asaria, I mean, they just loaded. They just I heard maybe Insigne got a little bit of knock in the first game, though, so that's a minus if he's injured. Yeah. But maybe if he's injured for our game this weekend, I don't want him injured long time. But if he skips our game, that would be
predictions.
That'll work.
At home against Toronto, reloaded, a lot of talent. Do we win? Do we
have
lose?
A prediction. If
Do
you
we
want
draw?
Me to go first, I'm willing to. You want Carmen? You want to go?
Okay, I'm gonna go Toronto 2-1.
Losing at home.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Given what you just showed me there, I'm gonna say we're gonna lose.
I think it partially depends on whether Insigne is actually in the lineup or whether his knock prevents him from playing. Okay. He's that big an impact for that team.
Okay.
I mean, that guy is. I mean, he's a legit. I mean, he's still probably a top 20 striker in Europe. Kind of good.
I'm kind of just going on gut at this point. From a lot of it is what I just saw from Atlanta United in the opener more than anything, and assuming Toronto is a team that a lot of people are predicting to be high on the table, I'm going to say we lose 3-1 at home.
Wow. I thought I was going to be the least optimistic.
I was about to say I forgot my optimism.
I'm going to go with a 2-2 tie again.
Okay.
Going with a draw.
All right.
Okay. So how are we going to get that? Where are we going to?
I think we can score. I mean, I think,
How though? Where were we? Where was the
Almada?
where was even like up until the 90th minute? Where was the build up even for Almada? Or, wasn't there?
I mean, one thing you got, we have one more game without Sosa, which really hurts.
Yeah.
Because, I think if this team is going to be decent, the back three has to provide a little bit more of protection, and that allows Sosa to go hunting. And if that happens, then this team could really turn a corner. I mean, really, really, really could. But, Sosa's not available. I would assume, God bless, that Giacomakis is going to be available. That's another guy.
What's the visa deal there?
Well, they said it was going to be coming through any day, and it didn't. So you got to assume.
But
I mean, you would hope.
What's
but-
so? Where's the holdup on the visa? Is it over in Greece somewhere? Where's the
It's
origin?
U.S. I mean, it's the U.S., but he has to apply as a Greek, to apply for a work permit, basically.
But right, where's the just because the U.S. has to approve it,
Yes.
but where is the logistical holdup? I guess is what I'm asking. Is it sitting in a queue somewhere?
I have no idea.
Nobody
That
has said
the
anything
U.S.
about
queue
that.
is so long that they can't review it and say yes, you're able to work here, or is it paper? I just don't get how all this.
I feel like all of it shouldn't even matter. I feel like Uncle Arthur should have paid somebody by this point to
Yeah.
have this person have a visa and be playing by
Yeah,
now.
aren't those guys who will get you like a passport in like 6 hours? Like,
Right?
you think?
Yeah.
You would
No,
think.
visa's not a passport, but
Just like someone to explain Tam and Gammon to me, I would love to know the passport or the visa drama here. Like, what are the little things that have to happen, right? Because we knew we were going to sign this guy, right? It wasn't a secret, and then it took for whatever the negotiations finally happened. We finally signed him. So why the hell aren't all the ducks in a row to make it happen once we go, right? So to me,
I think you can't initiate it until you have that.
you can't.
Right?
No,
Right,
you can't, right? So
Right.
why is there not clear communication then to be like, hey, the issue, like, and maybe it's out there. Maybe I haven't read the right article that it's sitting with this group right here. We got it in the very first minute we could. It's sitting with this group, and now it needs to go to this group. And
I have to
here's the
say,
hold
this
up.
is the one moment.
Where's the hold up?
This is the one moment I have not been impressed with Lagerwey so far. I mean, he said that he was really angry that Celtic really held things up because that he knew was fighting into their visa issue. And I'm like, Celtic has a right to negotiate the price that they want to negotiate, right? It's up to us to start the bidding earlier. Right. That's not their problem.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think, he threw it on them and he was like, they were just, and I think he felt at the end they were haggling over very small things and they could have been like, yes, and we'll sort out the last bit of details. But that's not they don't have to do that for us.
Yeah.
They have no obligation to us. We have got to start things earlier. Now, you can't blame that on Lagerwey because he just got here. Right. So maybe you would say, all right, the thing that he does is we need to have a plan going right into the off season, right? The teams that are really good, like if you see Manchester City these previous years, like the season ends and 2 days later, we're announcing the signings.
Yeah.
You're like,
so
boom.
That's exactly what happened with Giacomakis is there was a punch list of a bunch of shit they were haggling on. And somebody didn't quickly go through it and say, yes, no, no, yes, yes, no. And be like, that's our final offer. Take it or leave it. Either you get bullied by Celtic on stuff like that, or you just say, okay, we're going to just move this along and pay the whatever to like deal with these concessions. Somebody dragged their feet in that 2-week period. I could tell that there was
Celtic was clearly dragging their feet, but that's not their they have a right to do that.
Correct. So, but my point is somebody at Atlanta United needed to step up to the plate immediately with urgency and say, yes, no, yes, yes, no, just like they finally did.
I think they did that, but they were like, every time they did that, Celtic took a long time to turn it around and they were frustrated by that. And I'm like, okay, I'm frustrated by that too, but that's not their problem. You're the ones who started the transfer saga with, how, already the preseason underway, right?
That's my point. Is if you started late and you're going to get nicked away, then your next decision would be to get fine. It's more important to move fast and get suckered by them in their negotiations.
I think they did do that, but I think
just
there's
say,
just nothing they could do. They were
check.
just like, okay, let me think about your check for a little while.
That's my point. Shouldn't have thought about it. Should have just said,
no. I mean, Celtic did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
okay.
You can only do so much on your side. Even if you turn it back to them, check in 5 hours, right? They can be like, okay, I see your checks.
Yeah.
Let me go down to the pub and have a Guinness.
Yep.
And I know it's Scotland, right? So they have what? It's not a Guinness.
Strongbow or something.
Strongbow, maybe, something like that. Anyway, but and then and then they're like, oh, sorry, I got carried away at the pub, and now I'm a little hungover, so I got to sort that out, and then I'll get back to you.
That's how I negotiate all contracts.
All right. So we got a 2-1 loss, 3-1 loss, and a
We
tie.
have some optimism.
I have to-
Optimism. Elliot says
Okay.
Atlanta's winning 2-1.
2-1. I like it.
Yeah.
But you should reply. What did Elliot call for the first game?
Oh, I don't know what Elliot.
I mean,
He probably couldn't hear us.
Yeah,
too.
Elliot might be the.
if you're out there, text, message us with what you thought was
Even-
going to
yeah,
be the score of the first
even
game.
if you have to go back to your honest self, back.
Yeah, you got to be
Right.
honest.
Got to be honest.
Right.
Be honest.
Now Tyson agreed with me with the 1-2 loss. It's
Yeah.
going, yeah.
So
I mean, Toronto's going to be angry, from that for opening loss. And if they have the full team, we could get
what did you think of St. Louis's
Honestly-
last minute win against Austin FC?
amazing. But what I was going to say is if we gave up the kind of counters that we gave up to San Jose and Insignia's in the game, he's going to score a hat trick.
Yeah. I don't know who the old guy was. Lewis at the very waning minutes.
Yeah.
That's how I feel on Wednesday nights. Like, he ran all the way down. He looked like he was like 43. Ran all the way down. And he like outside of it was a great goal. Like, I mean, he bombed down and just outside of the footage of the far post, won the game, fell down. His whole body cramped up because he tried to do a slide like a 26-year-old.
How did I miss that?
Oh, it was really good. You should go back and watch the highlights of that.
I mean, who would have ever predicted that Austin loses to St. Louis City on opening day? I mean, that was the shock result, right?
Yeah. So St.
Well,
Louis.
the also shock result was that the Traffico, they scheduled the Traffico, that's LAFC versus
yeah.
Galaxy for opening day, which I
don't
as
know.
far as I know, maybe
That not
you can
happened?
correct me if I'm wrong. And it got snowed out in LA.
Yeah.
The crazy
Snowed out.
freaking weather.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Rescheduled to like June or July, I think.
Snowed out in LA on opening day.
Compute. Someone today that I was on a work call with in San Diego said it was raining there in San Diego. So yeah,
what the-
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
it's global warming stuff is happening.
Yep.
All right.
All right. Well, hey,
Let's hope
we're off to a good start.
let's hope Elliot is correct. The problem is I hope we play well and
Or disagree with him.
I agree, actually, because if you get bailed out again, it's unsustainable.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, you could be happy for another day, but then
I'd rather
it's
be-
only a matter of time before you get hammered and lose.
I would rather be here on the next podcast excited to talk about we actually
Doing
we're
a
knocking the
little
ball
better.
around like Pineda saw something. Pineda's doing the right thing. I want to be saying that on the next podcast more than wow, what a golazo and boy, we looked real dicey. That's not the conversation I want to be having on this podcast. It's not why I started
You
this
want to hire
podcast.
Tonya Harding for Brooks Lennon?
Tanya Harding, just take a
whack.
take a whack to the knees. I love it. Who is the other skater that
Nancy
Nancy
Kerrigan.
Nancy Kerrigan, yeah. Listeners, go look that up on the internet. The foo bar.
People are gonna think I'm really a horrible person, but I never
was-
would ever want Brooks Lennon to get injured. And to be honest with you, I don't even think Brooks Lennon necessarily has to come out of the starting 11. He just either
Needs to
has to
stay
stay
back.
back or he has to go into an attacking role.
I honestly think if he just said, dude, play fullback, just stay back, he'd be fine. He'd actually have because there's always a moment when you need to run forward and overlap. as
Well,
a
to be
fullback.
honest
Oh,
with you,
yeah.
if he took his time, right, and he bided his time and he allowed Araujo to dribble, and then occasionally late got in there, Araujo would find him in acres of space and he
Yeah.
would have all time to whip in these great crosses and we would score off of them.
Yeah.
Because they'd be in rhythm. And
Yeah.
he's a terrific deliverer of the ball.
That's what I'm
He
saying.
doesn't have to beat anybody because Araujo's taking all the
That's
attention.
the thing is, people say, oh, like he can cross the ball. It's just at the wrong time.
Well, the other thing is so many times in this game, we found him early. He was staring at their left back. He is never going to take that guy on. because he can't win that battle. He's not a dribbler.
Ever.
Right. He's not a dribbler. He's got a great motor. He can get up and down. He's got a terrific delivery of a cross. He obviously can get in the box and do some things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a grinder.
Yeah.
Okay. We talked about it all. Carmen, anything we missed?
I got nothing else, guys. I think you got it all.
All right. Look forward to seeing you
We're
next
sorry
Monday.
about all the technical issues. That's all on me. Letting Dave make too many decisions.
We're figuring it out.
Yeah.
We'll get it.
Have a good one, everybody.
Take care, and thanks for listening.
Bye.